Hi everybody, welcome to the garage. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux, Pete's here, Gary's here, and you're here. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I should every once in a while just remind everyone that what I say here in the Court of Public Opinion, it's my opinion, right? That's what I'm saying is what I believe. I don't expect you to, and I expect you to maybe call me Friday and disagree vehemently on 0491 65 68 60, if you want to do that. Pete, you would be very happy with the cricket.
Yes, I am ecstatic. Absolutely ecstatic. Yes.
Good boy. Question. Is it an AI bubble? The huge investment that has taken place in AI is about 7% of GDP. Can AI earn enough money to justify this enormous investment? Every bubble in history has burst because the returns didn't match the expectations. What goes up must come down. The stock market had a pretty rough week last week. It could be the start of a correction, or maybe the market is just taking a breather. The dot-com bubble started back in, I think, 95 or 96. It took 5 years to burst in 2000. Some of you might remember, to your chagrin. No, it's no laughing matter, of course. But what we're experiencing now is an AI bubble rather than a tech bubble. When will it pop? How serious will it be? How far will the ripples expand? I don't know. Last week, the Australian ASX stock market hit a 100-day low. $62 billion written off in one day. Tuesday, last week. People are nervous. Then on Thursday, Nvidia announced a full quarter profit of $88 billion. $88 billion, that's up 60% on the previous quarter. We're not talking a full year, this is just a quarter. Nvidia has grown 1,200%. Wise heads will, I think, determine that this is just not sustainable. But then again, no one knows. Dear oh dear. It amused me to hear that Anthony Albanese in South Africa for the G20 had paid tribute to the Australians who had helped end apartheid. I thought to myself, this is the man who worked so hard to impose apartheid on Australia, which is exactly what The Voice was. And not one comment from one journalist, of whom he had quite a few travelling with him. Amazing. But then again, I suppose they were worrying about how they'd get home. They offended him. Anyway, this COP30's over, thank God. What was achieved? Well, absolutely nothing. Billions of dollars, thousands of people, delegates, activists, a lot of talk and nothing. Nothing! Thank God we here in Adelaide missed out on COP31. Can you imagine us wanting to host this thing and pay $2 billion to do it? Wouldn't they think it's strange, all those activists and delegates? They wanting to end fossil fuels, while we make billions exporting them to, of course, be used. Insane. I think everyone would agree that cutting red tape would be a good thing to do. The Labor government, and it's a good bill, they've put up a bill to do just that. I mean, I say it's good. I haven't read it. It's 1,500 pages long. This is the Environmental Protection Act. The government says that it will streamline and fast-track the approvals, and there are many involved in getting a project off the ground in this country, far too many in fact. At the moment it can take years, even decades, to get the necessary approvals. That's ridiculous. The government wants to fast-track the bill to fast-track the EPA approvals. They want it through this week, Parliament sitting this week for the last time this year. The Minister, Murray Watt, needs to cut a deal either with the Coalition or the Greens. Now this is where it gets plain silly. While this government wants expensive renewables for us, they are exporting our cheap coal to India and China. Listen, it doesn't matter where you burn the stuff. And further, this government is allowing the clear felling of our native forests and the clearing of hundreds of thousands of hectares, land clearing. If these clowns were serious about cutting emissions, let alone net zero, they wouldn't be cutting down our forests and exporting our coal. In Australia, this government doesn't have to worry about our emissions. They are too small. Not a problem. We don't produce emissions, we export them. Neat and profitable, but quite inexplicable. Advocating for net zero while making it impossible to achieve. I don't know, what is that? Irish? Illogical? Crazy? Amazing? Strange, at least. What it has to worry about, the government, as a federal government, is its job, the economy. The economy! Cost of electricity, energy policy, therefore the cost of everything else, cost of living. Treasury, hospitals, housing, border protection, what else? Defence. The state can look after education, childcare, aged care, law and order. Law and order. Some of them do it better than others. While the government is streamlining things, they could maybe take a closer look at themselves. It's nonsense that it takes bureaucracy, years, sometimes decades, to get an EPA approval. Red tape, miles of it, to get a simple yes or no for a project. You don't need 1,500 pages to fix it either, by the way. How many trees would you have to cut down to do that? Politics is funny. The State Labor Party is suffering because of the algal bloom. You would have seen this. The television stations are full of the advertising. Not for the algal bloom, but the government's solution. The government is not responsible for the algal bloom, but true to form, because they are copping the blame, they will spend $100 million to do what? Win votes, I would think. This is nonsense. All the money in the world can't fight nature. Les Ellicus, who is with us around the dining room table on a Friday morning, 9 to 12, live streaming, jeremycordeaux.com, sent me a cartoon on the weekend. It relates to government handouts. And if I can get this right from memory, if you take $500 from a worker and give $100 to 5 people, you lose 1 vote, but you gain 5. And Les says it's the biggest pyramid scheme in history. It's called socialism. True. Thank you, Les. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, in the heroic failures department, it doesn't get much better than this. The bomb. Just a question of under whom the bomb goes off. The bomb, it's the Bureau of Meteorology, claimed to have paid $4.5 million for the new, redesigned Gee Whiz website, when there was absolutely nothing wrong with the old one. They actually, however, have come clean and they actually paid, you would have heard by now probably, almost $100 million, $96.5 million to be precise. Unbelievable. I mean, the $4 million was unbelievable. Was there a cost-benefit analysis made? Huh? Who signed off on this expenditure? Now, in Port Pirie over the weekend, a severe storm hit the township. No warning, no heads up, nothing. Now, where was the Bureau? Maybe they were just gazing at their nice new website, which nobody likes. The Bureau falls under the control of the Environment Minister, Murray Watt. Sir, ministerial responsibility. I think it probably demands that you resign. And something else, the CSIRO have announced that they will cut 350 research jobs. Now, that could be 10% of the workforce. This is on top of the 800 sacked recently. Management says, we are just reacting to 40 years of underfunding and government neglect. What they don't tell you is that the staff has been growing by an average of 302 people a year, to the point where they are employing 6,618 people. 6,618 people work at the CSIRO. Now, to be fair, it is the stated policy, the aim, the motto of the Australian government for the CSIRO. Their charter is to find, engage and employ talent. Not one mention of science. It should, of course, be go forth, invent, innovate and discover. That's what they should do. They've done it in the past very well. What I don't understand is how the CSIRO isn't totally self-supporting. When you think it invented Wi-Fi, polymer or plastic banknotes, not to speak of the flu vaccine, permanent press fabrics, soft contact lenses, AeroGuard was their invention. Hundreds and hundreds of medical and agricultural advances, all of which, of course, if licensed and marketed properly worldwide, would produce billions and billions of dollars. If they're not, why? My understanding is that the CSIRO should be a net contributor to the government coffers, not a drain. They have, if I get any of this wrong, of course I'll get comments, 3,582 patents. They have 728 inventions, separate inventions, 275 trademarks. Wi-Fi alone has earned $430 million in royalties. But this is where it gets strange. Most of their productive years were the 80s and the 90s. And it should be noted that the CSIRO was created, strangely, out of the Australian Museum by the Liberal government of Robert Menzies. That was back in 1949. And it was all done on the smell of an oily rag. But this mess with the BOM, Bureau of Meteorology, paying $96.5 million for a new web page, and this with the CSIRO. What is this? The government asleep at the wheel? A suburban accountant could run things better than this. I find it very, very strange, ladies and gentlemen. We're here, as you know, for the lovely people at the Rising Sun Inn, 60 Bridge Street at Kensington, coming up to probably the busiest time of the year if you run a restaurant. And boy, Grant, runs a beautiful restaurant. Grant and Jackie do run a fantastic restaurant, lots of atmosphere. But if you are looking for a venue over the Christmas period, make sure you ring and book. And if you're looking to sell a painting, Jim Elder, Fine Art, Melbourne Street, North Adelaide. You could not get anyone better to represent you on a global market. I'll give you some birthdays. Wish you a happy birthday. Or a happy wedding anniversary. Whatever it is you're celebrating today. It's not Thanksgiving, is it, guys?
I know.
Well,
I don't know when Thanksgiving is.
well,
Not yet.
no, I don't know. Anyway, it's around this time. Well, let's see. We've got November 25. Dangerously close to Christmas. 1940, Woody Woodpecker was created by Walter Lance. I remember I had the privilege of talking to him. Very creative, wonderful man of entertainment. Walter Lance, being inspired by a noisy woodpecker pecking at the roof of his cabin. It debuts in an automated short called, well, what else would they call it? Knock Knock. 1940, Woody Woodpecker. What was the funny cry that he did? Yeah. The first telegraph transmitter with a 1 mile range is advertised in Scientific America for $8.50, the world's first telegraph transmitter. 1905 was the year. Oh dear, 63 on this day, JFK is laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery. It was in fact on his son, JFK Jr.'s birthday. He was born, JFK Jr., 1960, and sadly died in a plane crash, quite, to me, inexplicably, in 1999. 1949, Gene Autry's single, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, appears on music charts after songwriter Johnny Marks adapts a poem written by his brother-in-law, Robert L. May, of Montgomery Ward department stores. Well, it was originally written for the department store. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Barbara Pierce Bush, American activist, Global Health Corps, and Jenna Bush. Well, Jenna was the daughter, news personality, author, Today with Jenna, twin daughters, in fact, of US President George W. Bush, born in Dallas, Texas, on this day in '81. World War II, a German V-2 rocket hits a Woolworths store in Deptford, United Kingdom, killing 160 shoppers. 1944. Britain evacuates New York City, its last military position in the United States. It's hard to imagine New York being a military position in the United States of Britain. 1783 was the year, by the way. Louis Vuitton buys jeweler Tiffany and Company for $16 billion. It's a lot of money in luggage.
It's a lot of leather.
A lot of leather. Golly, a lot of something. Fidel Castro, Cuban revolutionary, Prime Minister 59 to 76, and he was president from 76 to 2008. They don't hang up their, whatever dictators hang up when they stop dictating. Anyway, he dies at 90. 2016 was the year. The first systematic Hollywood blacklist is instituted, denying employment to American entertainment professionals who allegedly had communist ties or sympathies. I think you'd find it hard. That was in 1947 on this day. I think today you'd find it hard to find one single entertainer in Hollywood who didn't have communist sympathies. The first defamation case in Australia by a sitting MP was won by Sarah Henderson Green over Liberal Democrat David Leyonhjelm, after he had made some sexist remark to her. 2019. People are very sensitive, aren't they? They're very thick. I thought if you go into show business or politics, I think you'd have a thick skin, wouldn't you? Anyway, how's the battery going, Pete?
Well, the time is the problem.
Yeah, time, right. Okay. One more. 2002 Academy Award-winning actor Nicolas Cage, he was 38, files for divorce from the Princess of Rock and Roll, Lisa Marie Presley. She was 34, and it's due to irreconcilable differences. 3 months after they were married. The ink wasn't even dry. Good God. Anyway. Oh, the first flight of a de Havilland Mosquito and the Martin B-26 Marauder, this day 1940. Anyway, if you remember the day for any reason at all, I hope you'll remember it wonderfully. Thank you for being with us. We'll be posting another Facebook session here in the Court of Public Opinion from the garage on Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. Thanks to Pete. And on Friday morning, we'll be there around the dining room table, jeremycordeaux.com, 9 to 12, live streaming. Believe in yourself, and goodbye for now.